This one is on philosophy of learning. Now, I find learning is very important because if you can learn better and you can learn faster and all that, then the barriers of life seemingly disappear. Because if you think about it, what are some of the things that that life has? Of course, you need money or resources to do things, but another important aspect is the intelligence or the understanding and experience and knowledge and such to do something. Say you want to put up a house, if you're more intelligent, you can plan it out effectively, you will learn how to build it quicker, etc, etc. So anyway, I find that there are a few phases of learning which I'll write on this board. So level 0 here is what you would think about. This would be reading, this would be exposure, this would be videos maybe. So this is when you're trying to build a foundation for the topic that you want to learn. Let's imagine it's cooking. So you start to watch videos about cooking, you start to watch people and you just take in the basics of cooking. You take in everything that you can. Now at this point you haven't tried anything, you haven't really done anything, you haven't figured it out how to really do it. You're just watching, you're just reading and listening, you're taking in at a sensory level. If we look at the body, we have the head and we have the torso. This level 0 is at the head level, the sensory level of the head. Excuse me. This would be called study as well. This is when you study something, and it's usually the first thing that you will do. You'll just get as much exposure to whatever it is you can. If it's a language, you'll listen to all of that language that you can. You'll look at all of the writing of it that you can. You'll try to be around the people who speak it. Kind of like a child, will be exposed. Now, level 1 we'll think is more kind of here, so 0 is there, 1 is here, and of course 2 will be here. So this is not quite densified. You can think this is a spiritual, this is the air, this is more the water, so the air, the water, the earth. Level 1 is practice, exercises, and practice. Oops, I had an extra C. Exercises. I think I did it again. Exercise. Yep. This is when you just say you have a textbook. Level 1 is a textbook because they're full of exercises. They just tell you do this, do that. What is 2 plus 2? What is 2 plus 5? What is 5 times 5? This is level 1. This is when you've exposed yourself to the information and now you are trying it out, I guess, without trying. Chances are you're going to need to go back to the reference of number 0. If you're trying to make a dish, you're trying to, I don't know, make a pancake maybe, you watch a video level 0, then you try the video, you try the basic thing that's already set out, level 1, and maybe you have the video going while you're making it. This again, level 1, that's kind of both of these, I guess you can say, is you're watching video while you're doing it, you're reading a website while you're doing it. So this is just practicing basic forms, or kata. Kata. So in a martial art, you'll just practice a basic punch. If you look at my tutorials, I always give you a basic exercise that you can keep practicing. The basic punch, the basic kick, the basic this or that. This is good to continuously practice to get the form into you. So this really is form based. So again, going back, whatever it is you're trying to learn, you try to expose yourself to as much information as you can, and you're not trying to retain it too much. You're trying to plant seeds. You don't really want to be hard on yourself. You don't want to be hard, and if you start to get confused, it's okay. Let yourself be confused. Let yourself not understand things. Let everything be a mystery, because eventually, if you keep studying, you will eventually intellectually understand something. If you keep practicing, you will be able to physically do something. You see how that works now? It's a daily thing. You've got to do it every single day. And of course, you take a break, because you get to plateaus, and then you have to kind of take a break or push through. Then you get to another plateau, and once you're at this level is easy. All this stuff is easy. This stuff's challenging. This stuff is difficult. Then you go up again, you get to the next level, and then this stuff is pretty easy. This stuff is very easy. This stuff is it's challenging, and then again you've got more levels. So you're just slowly going up levels, because it's always, you will eventually start to think like, okay, making that pancake was easy, because I've practiced it enough. Now I can do it without the tutorial. Now I've gained it within myself, and then I can go to something else. Making maybe like a sauce, a special sauce is kind of difficult now. It's like, it's a bit complicated, but the more you study it, the more you'll understand it. The more you practice it, the more you'll be able to do it. And then we go to finally level 2, which I guess is kind of like the final level, which is more creation, I guess, exploration, self-practice and study. This is once you've made the pancake, and you think, well, okay, if I can mix flour and water and some seasonings together and fry it on a pan, could I do that and put it in an oven? Could I make it with less water and fry it over a fire, roast it over a fire? Could I make it very cohesive and then or dry and then boil it in water or steam it? What exactly, what is the limit of this? And that's when you start to, you understand the theory, the practice, you start to push it to its extreme. This is really how you get the levels. This is really how you learn something. If you're trying to learn a language, this is, again, reading about the basic grammar, reading about the alphabet, reading about different words and how they're spoken and how pronunciation works and all this stuff. Listening to people, that's level 0. Level 1 is you're doing like Duolingo exercises, or you're just writing out the alphabet again and again until you can understand and remember it. You are practicing grammar, you're speaking, you're typing out basic things, basic exercises like this is up, this is down, she is red, he is blue. Just really simple things. Then level 2 is you start to talk to people in that language. You make mistakes, it's okay, but you do it as if you knew it. You write things, you write a journal or a book in that language. You actually practice it, or you actually use it. This is using things. Using. This is when you, instead of watching tutorials or practicing your cooking, you're just cooking. You're just doing it. Once you get to this level, you've won, essentially. This is when you can use things, Just say if you're making stuff, you're out of wood or whatever. You watch the woodwork videos. You look up and research woodworking tools. Then you start to practice basic joint. You start to practice chopping wood. You start to practice how to use an axe, how to use a saw, how to use a chisel, how to use a plane. Then number 2 is you start to make a chair, or a table, or a bench, or something like that. A wooden shelf or rack. This can also be cyclical. We can go back to the start. Once you've learned how to do something, how do you actually make things, you might plateau and you might not know how to go to the next level. So you can research how things work. You can, if you're learning a language, you research what is the word I don't know, extravagant, what is the word pressure, what is the word book. You start to research these things and you practice them. You make a list of a bunch of words that you need to learn, or a bunch of grammar phrases, or something like that. Or you start to, a bunch of things that you need to practice speaking, and then you practice it. It's martial art. You look up a bunch of different new moves, and then you start to, once you've practiced it enough, it's yours. You've gained it, and then you can use it naturally. And once you use it naturally, that's when it becomes natural to you. And once it becomes natural, then you've learnt it fully. You've gained it. You can think it kind of goes downwards, from the intellect to the body. Or if you have an arm, this is a bone, this is muscle, this is skin. It's something skin deep, then it becomes muscle deep, then it becomes bone deep. It penetrates through these 3 layers. But if you never do anything, if you never research or practice or do it, put that in your mind or anything, then it's in the air. It's not in your body yet. You have not gained it. You have not developed it. So that's the basic cycle of learning. And of course, going back to things like plateaus. Usually, once you hit a plateau, you can rest, and you will just naturally, everything will sink into you, and you'll come back to it, and it's easier. Another idea is that you only gain about 20% to 10% of what you practice and study. I would say you gain about 10% of what you study, and then you gain about 20 to 30% of what you practice, and I reckon you gain around 30 to 50% of what you practice and do on your own, or what you do. So if you spend a whole day talking to people who know a language, you have some friends, or you're out in a town, and you're trying to speak, I don't know, German, let's say. You go to Germany, you're going to learn like 5 times quicker than a person who's just reading about German. Well, a person who practices exercise is going to learn about 2 to 3 times quicker than a person who just reads about things, if you can think about it that way. Anyway, I hope this has given you some ideas on how learning works and how you can apply this to your own life. Because the better you learn to learn, you will learn quicker and better. Of course, check the links in the description for social and commercial. I just opened a sell.app, which is a website where you can sell things like a web shop, and you can buy everything in crypto and PayPal. If you don't use those, you can just check out Gumroad. I believe that has a bank transfer. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that and have a nice day.